Is your car making a strange noise? Or maybe your golf cart needs a tune-up? Then you need to head to Quality Auto Mart. Quality Auto Mart isn't just about great auto repair and muffler service for your car. They're also your go-to experts for golf cart sales and repair. And we want to give a huge thank you to Quality Auto Mart for being a dedicated sponsor of the Strong Dads podcast. Their support helps us empower dads in our community and beyond. For all your car repair needs, muffler service, or anything golf cart related, trust the team at Quality Auto Mart. Visit them today and tell them the Strong Dads podcast sent you. That's Quality Auto Mart, located on Route 46 outside Batesville, Indiana. Call them at 812-934-2301. Welcome to Strong Dads. This is Merrill Hutchinson and Andy Dalton bringing you another great show. Andy, are you on mission? Do you have a mission?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think we're going to dive into that a little bit today.
Yes, we are. Why don't you explain what we're doing here with the months now?
Sure.
Yeah.
So as a staff, we had met and talked about being a little more focused about the content that we put out. Rock Solid Families, we do a lot of content, whether it's via podcast on Rock Solid Families podcast or Strong Dads. We have a monthly newsletter we send out, a lot of social media posts. There's just a lot of different things, blogs. We put articles in the Beacon. And some of those can seem really sporadic and scattered. Like you went here this way with this one, and then you went that way with that one. As far
as the subject of the topic, yeah.
And so we had spent some time saying, let's be a little bit more theme-based, coming into this month in December and into 2026. And so what you're going to see coming from us as a content, if you're somebody who follows us in social media, listens to our podcast, reads our blogs or it gets us from the Beacon, you're going to see a more theme-based month-to-month approach from us and our content. So hopefully it's a little bit more streamlined, but also I think we had talked about this specifically between you and I. We love kind of branching out and doing what, let's attack a mission, but am I claustrophobic? Can I only say mission? Right. Do we get to go and branch out?
I don't like to be stuck in a cage.
That's what it is. And so, yes, we're going to go be talking about mission this month, but from different perspectives. And so like today, how are we attacking mission?
Today we're going to be, so this is another thing, like we want to still continue to everything that we do it through a man's perspective, right? And so Strong Dads is going to be talking about just the general idea of working and being on mission, but then what does the mission look like for us men?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and we'll muddle through that and see what we come up with, but hopefully it'll make sense to you guys. I think it also helps us when we, and Strong Dads, our Saturday morning workout, okay? Well, we put that same program on a monthly mission. By our challenges.
Yes.
And what it did is it helped everybody stay focused for that month. This month, we're going to do a push-up competition. This month, we're going to go run a 5K, right? And it just made all of our workouts more geared with a focus.
Yes.
So that I think by the end of the month, we're like, okay, like all this month, I've trained this way.
Yes.
So it helps,
Absolutely. So, well, before we do that, we want to thank our sponsors. We want to thank Quality Auto Mart, Casey's Outdoor Solutions, and Hebron Grill. These companies have been wonderful sponsors for our Strong Dads podcast. And if you guys are doing business with them, we want you guys to support them as well. And then tell them thank you. Thank you for their generous time to support not just Strong Dads, but the mission that we have here in Rock Solid Families as well.
Yeah. You and I were talking earlier, and we've always had a mission for Rock Solid Families, and that is the mission of Rock Solid Families is to strengthen individuals, couples, and families through the power of God and His Word. Yeah. But you had asked me earlier, what's the mission of Strong Dads?
Yeah.
And I just always had made assumptions because it ran under the umbrella of Rock Solid Families.
Yep.
And so, we had to put that together. Like, I know in my mind what we do, right? But it was good to kind of put words to it. And so it is basically, Strong Dads is to equip, encourage, and strengthen fathers and all men in the ways of Christ. And I want to emphasize the ways of Christ, not the ways of God.
Yeah.
Right? Because what I have come to find, Andy, is that God is such a generic term,
Okay.
and people define God. Well, my God would be like this. And that's why, we can have all of these different ideas of what God is. Christ has already been defined. I mean, we have a picture, so to speak, through the Gospels.
Yeah.
And so that man version of God is so important for us as humans to grasp onto.
Yes.
Not that the idea of God is bad, but it's a very generic term.
Yeah.
Like you talk to 20 different people from 20 different faiths, and they're going to give you a different description of God.
Yes.
Where Christ is Christ.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
And I think too with that, I mean, you hear all these Old Testament names for God and El Shaddai, Elohim, Adonai, and so we've got, I don't know how many different names for God and how you can describe him, Jehovah Rapha, like all of these things, and you're like, okay, what are we doing? I think when we have all these names, our human intellect is trying to put together a name for a being that created heavens and the earths, and we can't fathom and understand that.
Yeah.
Not to say that we can't be in reverence to him and awe and like fear of like, you are so outside of my preview of what I can do. I humbly bow to you. But when we talk about the ways of Christ, it is easy to say he came to this earth to show us an example how a man should live.
Yeah.
And so I think that is also cool to put in perspective.
Yeah, the importance of the Christ figure is that he is tangible.
Yes.
Right? He's in the flesh.
Yeah.
Whereas God is not flesh,
No.
which is really hard for me to comprehend because even in my mind, God is an old man walking around with a staff, and that's just kind of really the Moses figure, right?
Yes.
But that's not God. God is not in flesh, right? Until he's in the Christ flesh.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, all right. So those are some different things that we talk about when we're being on mission. But let's talk about what does it look like for us to live on mission?
Yeah.
Any ideas? I mean, we kind of are in two different areas of life. I don't know if the mission changes right now, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah. So I think first and foremost, we can't just drift aimlessly. Mission is intentional, right? It is living a life of intentionality. And even when we I Webster dictionaried what mission looked like and what it said, and it had two things. And it's got more to it, but I want to highlight two things. It's an important assignment and or a vocation or a calling, right? And so when we talk about living intentionally, right, it is an important assignment. Well, okay, what would that be for me? Because I'm not just drifting along in one of those like lazy river pools, just here along for the ride, YOLO, right? It isn't that way. And even when we go back to what God says in Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10, we are God's handiwork created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which he prepared in advance for us to do. So it is intentionality. And when you talk about our two circumstances right now, the intentionality for me is to use the giftings God's given me in session and through Rock Solid Families, while at the same time being intentional with my children.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people say the mission is our family, and I think we're going to go dive into that later on. But I think it's a both of my mission is more than just my family. It's bigger than my family.
Right.
And it's more than just my work.
Yeah.
Because some people say well, I'm a carpenter, so my mission is to build good houses.
Yeah. 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 Well, so let's take that one step farther because I could definitely see what my mission is as a father, but it doesn't mean anything if I haven't aligned it with God's ways.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
You and I were talking about this before, that most men, if they've not been prompted to say the right church word, right? You said, what's your mission? Oh, to be a good dad, right? Or to go to work every day or whatever. And our job first and foremost is to align our mission with God's mission for us.
Yes.
But we have to know what that is.
Yeah.
And our first mission is to serve God.
Yes.
To serve God, to love God, more than to love your wife, more than, that I think that's a hard idea because I can serve my wife. I can see her. Again, it gets back to that tangible moment here of, I see a person. But when you can, it's, oh, yeah. Oh, everybody, I believe in God. Yeah. But you make assumptions and you live then as if you don't really live for God.
Yeah, and I think people too get this wrong. Well, if I live for God first, that means I got to leave my wife in the back
Right.
burner. I got to leave my kids behind. That
Yeah.
doesn't sound like a very God
Yeah.
that I'd love to serve. If you read about him, what he says to do is for husbands to serve our wives as Christ
Yeah.
loved the church. Love our wives as Christ loved the church, which he submitted and served us. And so we should serve our wives.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
not a leave him behind just because I'm following his mission first. That's actually, if I follow
Yeah.
his mission first, it'll tend me to be a better husband and treat my wife better.
Yeah. It's not an or, it's an and.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do both of those. So in Matthew 6:33, it says, "But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well." And so the idea here is that my first desire every day to love and serve the Lord. And what does that look like for you, right? Well, I mean, if you've actually, first, can you internalize that and know what that means to you, right?
Yeah.
And so to love and serve the Lord, that means to do things the Lord's way.
Yes.
And then when you start to do things the Lord's way, all of these different things like being a good father and being a good husband, they fall into place because that is the Lord's way.
Yes. Yes.
So it doesn't have to be very complicated.
No.
But we get our instruction for how we become a good husband, how we become a good father, not from us.
No.
Right? If I have to define that, it means I'm going to be on a fishing boat every other weekend, right?
Yep. Exactly.
But if I let God define it, then I get my marching orders,
Yeah.
right?
And that's countercultural, right? That's an outward focus and look on life, aligning to his kingdom and seeking his kingdom first. That is that's not what culture says to do. Like, no, first make sure your family's taken care of.
Yeah.
First make sure that you're good to go and make sure your feelings are validated and make sure you're this inward hyper fixated focus on us and our family versus, well, Lord, what is it you want me to do with what you've blessed me with? And how do I steward this? And what's cool, and again, going back to like, does that mean everything else is going to be, thrown back there? Like, I'm going to lose it. It's going to go bad. And that's what, like, we have to get out of our own thinking. It actually increases. And it's weird to think, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And think about this as a man. Men, certainly want to be loved, but more than anything, men want to be respected.
Oh, yes.
We want to be respected, right?
Yeah.
And so think about, we always reference God and the father, the male, the masculine, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so when I think about that, I think about, am I respecting God? Or am I just disrespecting him by putting me ahead of him?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
And so I think it's really important that we understand why the masculine is used with God, because men desire respect, and God wants our respect first.
Yes.
Right? Not to put him on the back burner.
Absolutely.
So it's really important that we get that right.
Yeah. And then, one of the other things too of talking about what does it mean to live on mission is what direction am I heading, right?
Yeah.
And you had asked me this just before coming on here. Are you still having goals and visions and aspirations? And as soon as that dies, I think we begin internally to die ourselves, and not physically, like seriously die, but like then we're getting stagnant, and if we're getting pushed one way because the world tells us to, like we're not having a mission. So where is that guiding? And you could say like the North Star. And for us as Christians, it's the mission as God's mission is for everybody to come to know who he is and his love and his knowledge, which would be, if I put in layman's terms, making disciples, right? Having other people understand who Jesus is, his love for us, his sacrifice for us, and what he tells us to do. That comes to Matthew 28 and the Great Commission. Therefore, go and make disciples. That's our guiding star of what it looks like as men to live on mission, following God's agenda and being intentional with the assignment he's given us.
Yeah. And as you talk about that, I think we make that really complicated.
Yeah. Yes, we do.
Because, I mean, we need to start with the Great Commission in our home.
Yes.
Right? Like, it doesn't have to be that complicated. If you start with it in your home, the whole idea, we run into this, Andy, nowadays, that parents will say, well, I think religion is a very personal thing, and I want my kids to choose theirs. I don't want to throw it put it down their throat,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And that just sounds really good. Like, yeah, that's a mature thing to do. But the idea there is if you just let your kid drift and look for a floating timber out in the ocean, God only knows if he'll ever find that timber, and then what timber will he finally find to grab hold of to float on.
That's
right?
a really good reference. Yeah.
Yeah,
I like
and
that.
so that idea here is, no, you have a job. You have a job to give your child that life preserver right off the bat.
Yeah.
Okay. If they choose to push it away or to enhance it, turn their life preserver into a boat, right?
Yeah.
Right? Like if they choose to change that or enhance it or even ditch it, right? That will be their choice later.
Yeah.
But you as the parent, you equipped them to survive.
Yes.
And I think that's just so important that, and if you get that right, if your kids know that they've been equipped, that means you're also going to be living that way outside of your home too.
Oh, yeah.
Because your kids are watching you. So it's not like man, I got to go figure out how to go social or evangelize to everybody at work. And just do it at home first.
Yes.
And the rest of it will come very natural.
Yeah. For each one, because each person has different natural giftings.
Yeah.
I agree 100% with that. So we're going to take a break right now, and we're going to go to one of our commercials for one of our sponsors.
Are you hungry for some fantastic food and a great atmosphere? Then head over to the Hebron Grill. Distinctively Southern and soulfully unique, the Hebron Grill has something for everyone. It's the perfect spot for family dinners, a quick lunch, or catching up with friends. We want to send a huge thank you to the Hebron Grill for being a sponsor of the Strong Dads podcast and for their incredible support in helping us empower dads everywhere. So the next time you're looking for a great meal, remember the Hebron Grill. Find them online or stop by today. That's the Hebron Grill. Great food and great community.
So we want to kind of, get back in what we're seeing as far as content here from Strong Dads, Rock Solid Families, and all of the stuff we're pushing out. For this month, what you're going to see is what mission looks like for men and what we've started to outline. Mm-hmm. What mission looks like for women, that will be a podcast that Rock Solid Families will drop. So for women, if you're listening to this or whatever the case is, next time we drop one, Rock Solid Families, that'll be geared specifically towards women. And we're actually going to have multiple guests on the show throughout this month, at least 3 that I can think of off the top of my head, who can share mission and what it means to them and how that's going to go and generate some different content, which I'm excited to hear about, how it shapes our families, communities, how you guys can be a part of our mission too. And, when you join us, you pray with us, you support us, you give with us, you're joining the mission of Strong Dads, Rock Solid Families, what our nonprofit's doing within the communities that we serve. And so that's what you guys are going to hear. And what was the Mission Impossible line you wanted to kick it off with too?
If you have this mission, if you choose to accept it.
Yeah, the Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
This mission, if you choose to accept it. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. And we kind of talked about the importance there of them saying in there, if you choose. So even in the movie, it wasn't like, this is what you've got to do.
Nope.
It was like, and if you choose. So you have a choice here. And I think that's a reminder to us too, that many of us don't recognize that this is a choice.
Yes.
Nobody's making you do it.
No,
So,
that's good.
All right. So let's move into, so then why should us strong dads, why should us men live on a mission, right? And I think it's really important first, we can all say we live on a mission, but you should define your mission. Because if you haven't defined it, then one guy's mission could be, my mission is to travel the world. My mission is to make a lot of money. So you need to define it, and we're asking first and foremost, why were you created in God's eyes?
Yes.
Right? And so defining yourself and knowing what your mission is in God's eyes, not your own.
Yes.
Right? Does
Absolutely.
that make sense?
That does make sense too. And I think too, and then now we're talking about like, well, why? Why do we define it? Why do we take this time to live intentionally with purpose? We were made on purpose for a purpose, right? But this takes some thought. This takes some continual like if I drift out of my lane, like, no, I'm here. This is the mission that I feel like the Lord has created me for. Let's get back on track. Let's be intentional with it. Why do we have to do that?
Yeah, well, we are workers, right? We are workers, and God wants us to tend to things, tend to the crops, right?
Yeah, yep.
Tend to raising the herd, but tend to the work that God has laid out in front of us. Everything from the Great Commission to raising our family and that kind of thing. And so, we talk about in Genesis right off the get-go that we're coming in and we are to tend and keep to protect, so to speak, the garden, right? I think that's in Genesis 2:15.
Yep.
And so stewardship would be the word that we often find being used there. And man, this is just like stewardship of everything that we touch. Oftentimes, as a parent, your kids will say, why do I have to make my bed? Why do I have to clean my room? Why do I have to do these chores? And part of that is you as a dad, you should recognize I need to teach my kids the importance of taking care of things. Because at the end of the day, if they only take care of themselves, you've kind of missed the boat on the lesson that God wants, and needs for his kingdom out of you.
Yes, absolutely. That's good. And I think too, another aspect to why we want to be intentional and live on mission, if there is, something is always trying to push us or attack us or come after us. And if we aren't intentional about protecting, providing, and guiding our family, similar to what you said with our kids or the mission God's given us, for like me, I feel like one of the things that he's blessed me with is the ability to help other people in their situation. I'm seeing time and time again in sessions, I'm like, man, I've done training like this for what? For maybe just to give to you, like, hey, this worked for me. Maybe it can work for you. Like I see it again and again, but for me, another why is if I'm not doing it, the enemy will. And it says this in the Bible that describes the spiritual battle from a real adversary seeking to kill, steal, destroy. I know I got this out of order, and so if we're not living a life in intentionality, we're going to go die spiritually. There's a battle at war, and it says in Ephesians, we're not fighting against flesh and blood. No. We're fighting against the spiritual principalities and the the beings of this dark world. And so we go back to Peter warns us, be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. So if I'm not intentional, if I'm not being proactive, I'm going to go and die spiritually. I'm going to be attacked.
Yeah.
My family will be.
For the longest time, I thought spiritual warfare was almost stuff of the movies, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's just, I don't know. That's up there somewhere. I don't even know if there's, and what I've come to find, and I think you're finding it too, when you work with people and they're, you will notice that they will make references that indicate they feel like they're under attack.
Oh, yeah.
My life is falling apart. Nothing seems to be going right.
Yes.
And so you can call it good luck, bad luck. All right. But we believe, no, like especially when Satan starts to see that you're making moves towards righting your life for Christ, he will alter your path every chance he can, right? He'll make it blow up. He'll make you think, well, a lot of good that did, I'm going to go back to my old ways. So I think it's really important to recognize, as it says in 1 Peter, he's like a roaring lion just waiting to find you with a misstep and take you out.
Yeah, you think of lions crouching in the weeds. You don't see them until last second. And along with that, too, and sometimes the attack of the enemy is so subtle in complacency.
Oh, yeah.
And all I want you to do is be distracted and be isolated and complacent with where you're at. Because if you're not moving towards the kingdom of heaven, then I'm good. I'm good with you staying there.
And we would call that, Andy, in our culture today, that's called comfort.
Oh, yeah.
Man, why would I change everything? I got my house, I got my money, I got, the shoes I want to wear.
Yeah.
Like comfort. And all of a sudden we go, why would I change?
I'm good to go.
Right.
And talk about fighting flesh. You know what your body wants? For people who know anything about the body and like homeostasis, and you know what your body wants? To be warm, to be comfortable, to be fat and happy, full of energy. Your body's like, hold on, I'm warm.
I'm right where I want to be.
Why? I've got food. I'm good to go. Why would I go and, I don't want muscles. Muscles take energy. I don't want that stuff. And so even our body fleshly wants to fight this idea of comfort. Like, no, we're advancing intentionally towards the mission God's put us on.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's move forward with that. The idea then, so there's work to be done, right? We're tending the garden.
Yeah.
And so there's one way to tend the garden that looks like we're tending it, and that means to just go grab a hoe and just go out to a pile of dirt somewhere and just move the dirt.
Yeah.
You go, I'm out working.
Yeah.
You may be doing physical work, but you're out in a pile of dirt.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and why would I do that? Well, because I have no direction. Everybody else is digging at the ground. I'm going to look like I'm digging at the ground.
Yeah.
And so the idea here is us knowing exactly what the significance is of the work that we do.
Yeah.
Okay. And we should start to look at our significance as what is it doing eternally? If I just talk about a paycheck for this week's groceries, which is fine, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that is just very short-sighted thinking. Mm-hmm. We need to be thinking about, well, what's the next generation? Like we're carrying a message from the day of Christ forward. What is the message that we are carrying on and going to give to the next generation? Yeah. And that's what makes it either significant or not.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Everybody does this. Everybody goes through and gets some drive-through fast food, right? And
I always way too much.
And people talk about like, I don't want to go be a burger flipper the rest of my life. Have you ever, and I'm going to ask all of you guys listening to this or watching this, have you ever gone through a drive-through with somebody who just left you like, wow, they just made my day. All because of what their infectious attitude, or even in a crappy, rainy, soggy day, they're like, hey, it's all good. I'm having a blast. Like, even if but I'm only working at McDonald's, but does that mean your mission is not significant?
Yeah.
I've come in contact with people working at some of the low-end jobs, you might call it, retail places that don't what's the point of you? I'm selling you product. But they're doing it in a way that just leaves me with I am so glad I came in contact with you. Yeah. You made me think as I walked away of what did they do in their life? Because it blessed me in some capacity.
Yeah.
That was a significant thing, all because they had retail.
Yeah, and how they approached the service that they're doing.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
And I think that's such a great point. Sometimes we have an idea that we'll work harder or better or serve better when I arrive at my job or when they pay me better to do it. And it's like, no, in all things,
yes,
in all things we should be serving Christ and serving others. Yeah. So
and when that happens, Jesus says we become more blessed when we serve than to receive. And so that's where the true fulfillment comes into place. It's not, I'll have true fulfillment when that job overlines with my mission. Yeah. Well, what if you're in the job God has for you and you just haven't aligned the mission with what he says because you're worried about yourself and the inward focus and not serving others? What did Jesus say? He came on this earth to
serve,
not to be served.
Not to be served.
Even though he's the King of Kings and Lord of Lords.
And is completely contrary to kings.
Yeah.
That again, we've talked about that before. It's one of the things that grabs me and makes me realize how strange Christ is.
Oh yeah.
Because he's contrary to how us men want to operate. We want to be on a throne. Yeah, we want the glory. We want people to serve us. Yep. And when Christ comes over 2,000 years ago and flips that upside down, and people are to this day shaking their head. Why would you do that?
Yes.
Why you could sit on the top. And that's exactly the problem. That's what I want. I want my selfishness, right? Wants me to be on the top of the throne. And so our first thing to realize is I am a servant.
100%.
I am a servant.
Servant first. The last thing I do want to say about talking about this why, once we understand the mission God's given us and we start to live it out with intentionality, I do want to say this. You may not feel ready or qualified. Moses didn't feel qualified. I can't speak. Gideon didn't feel qualified. Peter definitely didn't feel qualified. None of them were in their own strength qualified. And I've even heard Christians misuse this phrase, well, God never gives us more than we can handle. That's a load of crap. You think in your state, what you're going through with Glio, if of your own strength, you could have handled that?
No. In fact, the reason why we have, when I say we, because Linda and I and our family, that we have handled it the way we have is one, because we have handed it over to God, and two, it doesn't make sense to me.
No.
Like there's a calm, there's humor, there's all these things. Don't get me wrong, the cancer, I'm feeling sick at certain times, all these different things, but I feel like I'm being carried. You remember is it the poem about the footprints?
Footprints in the sand. I love that one.
There are so many times now where I'm like, I'm not even sure how I'm getting through this, but and I am realizing now you're not getting through it. He's carrying through it. Carrying you through it.
And what that means is he does give us more than we can handle of our own strength. And he's not looking for qualifications. He's looking for willingness. We'll go back to the book of Isaiah, and it's Isaiah standing in this vision of a throne room, and the Lord is saying, whom shall I send? Who will go for us? And Isaiah, boldly enough, says, here I am. Send me. And so when that mission calls for you and you don't feel qualified and you don't feel ready, when we submit to him, serve him, that's when you're willing, all right, I can use you for some extraordinary things.
Yeah. So let's kind of bring this home. Mm-hmm. So when we are talking about you as strong dads being mission driven, all right, some things that can really make this more clear for you is what does it look like, right? And the first thing is to make the proclamation that I'm going to serve God. And that means you constantly want to, if you're going to serve God, you need to know what God wants.
Yes.
You need to know what he wants. And the way that you know what he wants is you read his word. And he is a man. By the way, he wants us all to be servants, but the work of a man is going to be a little bit different than the work of a woman.
Yeah.
The work of a child is going to be a little bit different than an adult, a husband versus just a man, right?
Yep.
And so God's word will give you the idea of what it looks like for you to be there.
Yes.
But once you kind of get that idea, then where are your mission fields, right? And so the idea first, what am I doing at home? We want to make sure that we are solid at home.
Yes.
And what does that look like? Don't assume your kid is going to acquire their faith through some kind of osmosis or something.
Yeah.
You have to be actively leading them in faith and teaching them. Again, knowing full well that they may reject you, right? The prodigal son, they may reject you.
Yep.
That's not your worry right now.
No.
You got to first, plow the field and plant the seed.
Yep. And then after that too, and the way that I've always phrased this is where you live, work, and play. Right? Mm-hmm. So where you live at home, primary mission field first. Where you live, where you work in the workplace. And people think, well, I put two different things in here, right? That's a Sunday thing and that's a work thing. That's a Monday through Friday thing. And that is not, it is an overwhelming overlap of, our biblical principles that we live by because of what you said before, being in the Word and what Christ tells us to do. Right. That overlaps in the workplace. That overlaps to the relationships. And it says, out of the overflow of the heart, our mouth will speak. And so if God is so prevalent in our life, you can't miss it, man.
Yeah.
And so at work, what does that look like to live with integrity and be a steward of the resources God's given you? And so our mission field, where we live, work, and play at home, in the workplace, and then, where our play is, which would be different areas, community, church, the different place that we serve, riding bikes.
Yeah.
Do we give glory when we're sitting on that bike? Like, man, I look at this beautiful day.
Yeah.
The body
absolutely.
that I get to go and ride.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you're reading through kind of that idea of Colossians 3:23. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord, not for human masters.
That's so good.
And so, it's just important that when we are working, that we give that praise and that thanks to God. This is why I'm doing this.
Yeah, absolutely.
How about stewardship? Think about stewardship. I met with some friends the other day, and childhood friends, and haven't seen them in years. So they came up and visited me. Well, I mean, the last time I talked to them, we were in our 20s and 30s. Okay. And so now we're all in our 60s.
Yeah.
And so we had the opportunity to speak now from a new perspective. And one of the topics, not that we actually used the word, but one of the topics was basically, well, how did it all turn out for you, right? Now that we're in our 60s. And essentially, what kind of steward were you of the life that you were given?
Yeah. Yeah.
How well did you take care of your family, your job, your kids, like all of these different things? And so that was kind of interesting because, and luckily or thankfully to God, we all had pretty good stories, right?
Yeah.
We have been blessed.
Yes.
But I think about the number of guys that are in their 60s that have these like, everything's falling apart. I'm on my third marriage. My kids won't talk to me.
Yeah.
All these different things. And so part of what we want to be able to think about in our legacy is, well, what do we want to be able to look our family to be when we are in our 60s or 70s,
Yeah.
And so it was really cool for us as men in our conversation over this past weekend to see how the three of us stewarded.
Yeah.
Now, let me put a caveat on this.
Sure.
That was not of us.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yep.
Like we were not patting ourselves on the back. Like, look how good I raised my family.
Yeah. Yeah.
All three of us kept making references back to our parents.
Oh yeah.
All three of us had very intact homes.
Yeah.
All right. Strong dads. All right. Maybe sometimes too strong, right? In other words, there was discipline there. But all of us in our 60s now, we're laughing about some of the discipline at times. Oh man, I remember my dad, he was,
Yeah.
But all of us were so thankful that we had that strong figure that kept us on the rail. And now here we are reaping the benefits.
Yep.
Right? In our 60s. And let that be a message to you guys out there. You might be in your 20s or 30s right now. You're just putting your work belt on now. I mean, you got to know your mission. You got to do your work. And down the road, you can look and go, look at the house I built, right? Yeah. Because I knew God. I knew his ways. And that was my governor.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. That's a great way to wrap it up right there. And so, guys, when we're introducing this theme of mission all month long, you're going to hear different takes on it, different viewpoints, different missional themes from men, women, guests. And so our goal isn't to overwhelm you. And what we're here to say is it's to remind you that God is at work. And here's the cool thing. We're invited to join him in that work. Your mission, if you choose to accept it. And so as we end this session, what is God nudging you to do right now? Is it draw near to him because you don't know who he is to find out what your mission is? If you know him, maybe it's to realign and get yourself back in the lane, or maybe it's to re-encourage you that you know what your mission is, but let's get back after it and where you live, work, and play in your home, workplace, and community. And so anything else before we close it?
Yeah, well, one of our missions is to thank our sponsors.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the other people around us that allow us and encourage us to do what we do. And so we want to thank our sponsors, Quality Auto Mart, Casey's Outdoor Solutions, and the Hebron Grill. Guys, more important than that, we just want to thank all of the dads that have played into our lives and into our community. And this is a call out for you that this is your mission, to be that strong dad, to take your family under your wing, protect them, and provide for them. But bring them up, right? Especially those young boys of yours. Let them know that they're being trained up to be a warrior for Christ.
Yep.
So that, because they are going to be under attack, right? And so this is such a great opportunity for us to really know why we do what we do as men.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, you ready?
I think we're good.
All right, go out there and be a strong dad. Are you dreaming of a stunning landscape or a refreshed living space? Look no further than Casey's Outdoor Solutions and Gift Shop. Located just outside of Bright, Indiana, Casey specializes in transforming the outside of your home with expert landscaping services. They'll also help you beautify the inside with unique finds from their amazing gift shop. We want to send a huge thank you to Casey's Outdoor Solutions and Gift Shop for being a fantastic sponsor of the Strong Dads podcast. Their support helps us continue to uplift and inspire dads in our community. For all your landscaping dreams and eye-catching home accents, visit Casey's Outdoor Solutions and Gift Shop. That's Casey's, making your home beautiful inside and out.